Finally, I got another load of lumber, and well, I got my trailer running. So I unstacked the lumber into different piles of the very best wood, decent wood, and stuff that'll be cut up into blocks. So I'm cutting a bunch of 5-inch blocks to make rafter ladders.
No, not yours.
So the overhang is the same all the way around. I've been working on my cabin out here in the high desert of Arizona for a couple months. And today I went ahead and put together some ladder rafters or rafter ladders so I could extend the overhang just, well, it's 7 inches over all the way around. And so I made the rafter ladders to extend the overhang. I cut most of the rafters, especially on this other end, so that I could put up the fascia. I need to do this side, put the fascia up, and then tomorrow I can start sheathing. And it's been about a month since I put a real big update on the cabin, mostly because the suspension on my trailer snapped and I had to replace that, and I had to wait for parts twice for that. But finally I was able to go get a load of lumber. I've got a pretty decent stack here. I think I'll be able to sheathe that entire roof, and then I've got 2 rolls of tar paper so I can put down 2 layers of tar paper on the roof to dry it in. and then I can start to work. You see the front side here over the porch, you know, I've done rafters. I need to do that around the entire porch, and then I need to put down the rest of the flooring or porch, the decking. Yeah, so those will be the next parts that I kind of work on, and once that's done, then I can work on sheathing the roof for the porch, and then I can work on siding, you know, wrapping the cabin and then siding. And I don't think it'll be too long, but you know, I'll make quite a bit of progress with this load, and then I think maybe 2 more loads of lumber I might be damn near done with the cabin, so that'll be kind of exciting. For the end of the rafters, I want to cut the rafters at the 4 pitch, which is the same pitch as the roof. And that way, when I put the fascia up, everything will just look like it's supposed to, instead of sticking directly up at a wrong angle, like the board is when it's at 90 degrees. So I snapped a line from one end of the rafters to the other end of the rafters, which will make a straighter fascia than it would to sit there and measure 7 inches out on every single one, if that makes sense. And being alone, the best way for me to hang the fascia is to climb up the ladder and center myself in the middle of where the board would be, so that I can pull it down and balance it while I nail it into place. Normally I'd use my skill saw, and I probably would have used my skill saw, but it's broken. It's a worm-driven skill saw. I need to fix it. And so I just started cutting everything with my chainsaw, and that's been just fine. I noticed I was a little too close to the rafter, so I had to move back in order to cut this one, but I'm just drawing lines at the correct pitch all the way down the rafters and cutting one of them at a time with the chainsaw. Malleus is such a funny guy. He loves blocks, but only if I just touched them. So blocks that lay around, he's not too concerned with. But if I touch a block, cut a block, or like the block that just fell, the end of that rafter, he came right on over to see where it was and if he could grab it. He's a funny guy like that. This was just the next step in the process, in my opinion, because, you know, once I dry this roof in, then a lot of the cabin underneath it is pretty protected if it was to rain. Although there's not going to be a ton of rain in the near future, probably. And then I can go ahead and finish the deck. The flooring on the very front of the cabin, the back of the cabin, and inside is all done. But I need to do the two sides that are outside on the deck. So I need to finish that deck after I finish the roof. Then you see how the front is kind of wrapped in 2x8s. I need to wrap the entire cabin in 2x8s like that. And then cover everything in siding and then put on the roofing. And at that point, I will be able to start to cut out windows and doors. And I might just move in pretty quickly after that. The little speed square I carry around makes this job real easy. I already know that I've built the roof to a 4-pitch. That'll help it to lose snow and rain and whatnot. If you build your roof too flat, you know, it won't shed the water or snow well enough. And so having the 4-pitch, I know that it'll do that, and it'll give me room to stand up in there. And so, like I said, I snapped a line across the top of all of these, and then with the speed square, I can just hold it up until I see that it's marked out for a 4-pitch. So I just hold it at the angle that marks that 4-pitch, and then I can cut it. If you've ever done this, it's not rocket science, but for the people that have never done it, it's probably a little more difficult than it looks. This is a 12-foot 2x8, and I'm about 12 feet in the air. So you just have to balance quite carefully in the very center of it, and then get a nail in place and work out the ends from there. With this in place, once I sheathe the entire roof, I can put a drip edge down on this side and on the high end of the roof, and then I can put rake edge on the ends that slope upwards. So there's drip edge and rake edge, and that's all that there is to it on a simple slanted roof like this. So I can sheathe everything, wrap it in tar paper, put down drip edge and rake edge, and I'll put down insulation with battens to give spacing between that and the metal roofing, and then I can throw on the roofing. Of course, I'll layer everything accordingly. I just don't have the drip edge and rake edge yet. You know, I try to balance everything. It's never flawless, and so as I balance the board in the center, I try to line it up to the piece of fascia before it, and then I'm also trying to balance so that each rafter is as plumb and flush with the fascia as possible. And so they're going to be, you know, an eighth over, an eighth under, but across the board, where is it centered the best? And then, you know, so I put in a couple tacks to hold it, and then I'm inspecting it, making sure that it's lined up to the best of my ability before I nail it down a little better. subscribe and check out my links down below, and I'll catch you on my next video.